house to your house. And now, here's your host, Nicole Small.
Good morning, happy Monday, and welcome to the Nicole Small Show. I am your host, Nicole Small, and today we are going to review the Mayoral Town Hall from the People's Slate that took place this Saturday. But before I do, I want to make sure that I wish Dwayne a happy birthday. Although, you know, it took Mom another chance to get it right when she had me, I still will say you are a great brother. And also, I want to wish someone who I definitely admire, Mr. Harry Belafonte. I love me some Harry Belafonte. Happy birthday, sir. I wish you well. I hope you are enjoying your day. So let's get to it. Saturday was interesting. I was not able to get through all of your comments, but I want to say thank you so much for participating. And watching the show. For those of you who haven't seen it, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Nicole Small Show, and you can watch it again. And it was so important, like we had said before, to get this information out. For me, I felt like Saturday was ripping the Band-Aid off, right? You knew that there was something that had occurred up under there, and then we didn't know how deep the wound was. So this was a great way to rip the Band-Aid off. And I want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the event. I did make mention towards the end that it took courage to come on there. And these 4 candidates, they actually did it. We did have a 5th candidate, Mr. Jalen Harris, but I think he was experiencing some technical difficulties. He was on at first, and then all of a sudden he couldn't get back in. So I believe that he is still running for mayor. But today I wanted to get some more feedback from some of the people who participated. I sent out a message on Facebook for those who wanted to participate, and some of you did respond. Also, we will have 2 of our panelists on today to give some feedback about, you know, what their thoughts were about the responses and about the candidates. And then we'll go into some feedback from those of you who were just watching from the audience. So for me, just to let you know, I want to give you some background information about how this event even came about. I have mentioned this before, that February the 5th, letters were sent out to all of the candidates that had pulled petitions, had pulled petitions or had shown some interest in running for office for mayor, except for Mayor Duggan. I made this clear that he was never going to be invited to this event. So for some of you who watched the show, and I have seen you on the show, and you know that I said this, I don't understand the reason for you being messy, asking, well, where is Mike Duggan? Some of the others you didn't know, but some of you did. This was the whole reason that we did not invite him. It's because the mayor, the incumbent, dominates media attention. And what happens so often is that the other candidates running, you'll never really get to hear them unless they have just as much money to run to reach as large of a universe of voters as the incumbent can. And I just felt, because this race is so important, this is the top of the ticket race, that we needed to offer an opportunity to candidates who were not the incumbent and most often are rarely heard. So let's get into the candidates that actually participated and some of your feedback. Initially, some of you were saying, where did I get these candidates from? I suggest you start educating yourself on this process. I didn't go get them from anywhere except for the clerk's office. That's where we got them from, on a People's Slate. I didn't go handpick these people, none of that. Some of you wanted to know, well, where was Raymond Jackson? Well, go ask Raymond Jackson, because Raymond Jackson declined the offer and said that he was working with Tom Barrow, because we're going to get all of this straight today. What I don't appreciate is how these candidates, Raymond, Tom Barrow, Sharon McPhail, everybody was invited, okay, who had shown an interest and had pulled petitions. Whether I agree with your campaign or not, we invited you. And they weren't forthright. I see they sat there and they watched you post those comments asking, well, why weren't they invited, as if we were being biased? No, tell the truth. You were invited, and we have the documentation. All of you. Sharon McPhail's team didn't want her to be a part of it. That's fine. But this isn't the first time that we've seen this behavior from Sharon McPhail. Do your research, people. Years ago, when Sharon McPhail was running for mayor, what's his name? Nicholas Hood was running for mayor. I believe Deetta Wilcoxon was even in that race running for mayor. Sharon McPhail wouldn't even go and do the debate back then, which was on television, and she claimed she wasn't going to do it because she didn't want to be on a stage with a 20-something-year-old. So you think about that. Before you come hurling all of these false accusations at the people's slate, get your facts straight. This isn't the first time that she has declined an offer. She wouldn't even respond personally herself. And we reached out to her several times. We also reached out to Tom Barrow. He didn't respond either. The rest of these people who are on this, they were not on the list when we actually looked and had a deadline to pull petitions. We had to have a cutoff, because how else were we going to get the information out to them, the invite, and to have them to respond? And what did that look like? How do we get down to the final 5? Only thing that we asked is for a headshot, a bio, and to answer 2 questions. And I'm going to tell you what the questions were. 1, what are the top 3 duties that you as mayor? 2, what are the top 2 issues in neighborhoods? And tell us how you would address them. That's all. You only had to, but you had to answer those questions completely in order to be a finalist on the panel. And it was made clear in the email that these were the requirements. It was no news flash. It was nothing personal against anybody, because if it was, some of those other people, I probably wouldn't have called, especially the disrespectful ones, Mr. Jackson. So we did invite everybody. They didn't think that you were important enough to come on that platform and to listen. So go have that conversation with them, because it has nothing to do with the people's slate. We did open up the door to everyone who had pulled petitions since then. Let's talk about where we are now. You think that Saturday was something? We have, 18 people who have pulled petitions for mayor. 18 people who have pulled petitions for mayor. Only one person I know did remove herself from the race, which was Miss Anita Bell, because she too was also supposed to be on the panel, but she reached out to me and she let me know that she would be seeking another opportunity with reparations, like on a national board. So that's one reason why she wasn't there. And we told the other candidates, listen, we are going to have more forums down the line. Maybe that'll be an opportunity for them to participate. And what we are going to do is, after the filing deadline this time, we are going to have more of a debate where they could debate the issues. We want to delve deeper into policies and make sure that they understand these issues at hand and have real solutions. See, people can be passionate about stuff, but if they're not giving you a solution that's realistic and can tell you how it could work, then that's just talk. They're never going to get it done. And telling you being passionate about something being wrong is not a solution. We are talking about people running for mayor. You have to be a critical thinker. You have to know that budget. You have to understand how government operates. You will be the CEO, the chief executive officer of this entire city with a multi-billion-dollar budget. So when you're listening to these candidates, and that was just a snapshot of the candidates who are running, but when you're listening to these candidates, you, the voter, need to be clear. What are you looking for? Are you just looking for somebody who talks a good game? Or have you gone back to do some fact checking to see if what they're telling you is really true? Because this is Detroit. We have a whole lot of people are their own hype man. And then when you peel back the layers, you see they full of it. They are just absolutely full of it. You also need to be looking to see, what are these people's bodies of work? What qualifies them to run for mayor beyond talking a good game and having the residency, meeting the residency requirement to have lived here for a year? We have to get serious. That's why this forum was held in February instead of waiting until after the deadline, because we have to start thinking about the office of mayor in a very intentional way. And we have to take this role, this race seriously. Otherwise, we're going to get the same results that we've been getting, being excluded from opportunities in our own city. In our own city where we're the super majority. That's why we had this town hall on Saturday. I hope what you got out of it was being exposed to people who are seeking the office of mayor. I am going to say this. We need to do a better job of having some standards around here, because otherwise everybody is going to run. And I know some of you feel like everybody who has the right to run. I hear you. But I also think that what you should have gotten out of Saturday's event is that, how can I say this? If all of these people get on the ballot, it's going to be a distraction. And the only person that's going to win is the incumbent. He is going to benefit hugely if all of these people get on the ballot. So when you out here and you signing petitions and everything, and there's nothing wrong with helping somebody to prove themselves. I'm just telling you, for this race of mayor, if you help 18 people to get on the ballot for mayor, and you know you struggling to find the top 2 or 3, it's going to be a distraction. I saw some of the comments, some of you saying, oh, these people are a joke, they don't win. Let me tell you something. All 4 of them have made it to the newspaper. All 4 that were on there Saturday, I want you to process that. They have made it to the Detroit News as being candidates for mayor. Now, all 11 who we invited, they hadn't made it to the news. But in that newspaper article, Anthony Adams, Miss Maya Jones, Cheryl Webb, and Artesia Balmer, they all have made it to the news to be candidates for mayor. So when you ask, where did I get these people from? They had made it to the news over a month before we had this event. You may not take all of them seriously, but somebody is. And if somebody else is taking them seriously on a national media platform, that means that they could possibly be in this race. And I thought that with the majority of you, the feedback that I often get, we need to get behind just one candidate. Some of you say 2 candidates, so we can really give the incumbent a run for his money. But that just can't come from a select few. It's going to require some serious conversations. It's going to require for the conversation to look like this. You need to do a comparison chart and figure out who got the skill to really run up against Mike Duggan and who's going to be able to raise the money. I know some of you like people and you have these friends around here. We're talking about winning a war because that's what we're in. We are under attack in our own city. And this mayor that we have that has cut off the water to over 200,000 homes, okay? This mayor who has taken $9 million, and instead of helping people rehab and improving safety in the city, and instead of paying off some of the water debt, you know what he did? He put $9 million into bike lanes. We have a mayor who has said, you know what? I will go all the way to Arizona to get appointees to work in my administration and overlook Detroiters who are more than qualified. This is a mayor who has taken CARES Act money, and you don't even know where it's went. This is the same mayor who bamboozled 70% of you into supporting Proposal Land, and already $17 million is unaccounted for. They're consolidating contractors as if they're one contractor so they can be qualified as Detroit-based business. This is how stupid he think you are. That's what he thinks of you. So if you're really serious, if you think that you deserve better, then you should do better. You know, this isn't an attack on anybody from Saturday, because like I said, we're happy that they joined. But I'm telling you, it's only room for one other person. And it's only room for one person at the finish line to win. These are the facts. And so when you know the facts, you're supposed to govern yourself accordingly. How do you make the most well-informed decision? If you still torn between 3 people after Saturday, you need to go back to the table. You need to do a further analysis. You need to listen to the responses. Did the responses actually answer the question that was being asked? Or was it something that you could relate to because you feel that the issue was wrong as well? That's what you have to ask yourself, because the person with a real solution is the person who can battle the current incumbent. And I'm going to tell you something. A lot of you who watching, you think that Duggan needs to go. Well, you just a small snapshot, because there are so many people in this city who are still supporting this man. And they are. And he stands a chance to be reelected. Those are the facts. And my God, if he's reelected by a landslide, what does that say about us? What does that say about what we think about ourselves? On this show tomorrow, we're going to get into it tomorrow about how it's Black folks who are hailing this man as a saint. And I mean literally as a saint. Wait till I tell you this story tomorrow. Oh, it's going to blow your mind. But when we're talking about right now, for once, can we do something that's best for us? Can we? Can we do something? Can we make a decision and put all of this crap to the side about these rumors about who you don't like and what you heard? Half of y'all wasn't even paying attention to what was going on in government back when Kwame was mayor, when Dennis Archer was mayor. You just know that you didn't heard something. Be quiet. You have to make an executive business decision. And if you say that you want change and you want somebody different, then you have to do things differently. That's what you need to go on. But some of you not even politically mature enough to make these decisions. And that's the scary part about it. 18 people. 18 people. Let me read them off to you. You have Rashad Schaefer. He was invited. Danetta Simpson. She was invited. I told you Anita isn't. Raymond Jackson. What body of work has he ever done? What has he ever done for the community? For all of you who supporting Raymond, what has he ever done for the community? I know he good at going on Facebook trolling the rest of us, thinking he gonna bully us into submission to support him over Anthony Adams. And I couldn't wait to have this conversation. Right? Because you want to run against Anthony instead of running against Duggan. You couldn't even get signatures to recall Gabe Leland. Go get them signatures for you to get on the ballot. I bet that is why you supporting Tom Barrow. And I said it and I meant it. You don't come around here disrespecting Black women all on Facebook and everything and thinking that that's okay and that you want to run for mayor. You never even organized in your community, wherever that's from. But that's who y'all want to talk about. Misinforming you about property taxes, and you want to rally behind that. You need to do some fact checking. That's what you should do. Jalen Harris, Cheryl Webb invited, Curtis Green, Maya Jones, Artesia Bomber, Donna Pitts, Sharon McPhail, Willie Baker, Maurice Badger, Art Tyus, Jacob Elijah Johnson, excuse me. Maya is on here twice for some reason. I just noticed that. I don't know if maybe because she went to go pull an extra set of petitions, but they still should only have her on there once. Charletta McInnes, Winnie Mbuchi, Dieta Wilcox, and then Mike Duggan. I don't know. They don't have Anthony Adams or Tom Barrow on here, but we know that they have petitions. So these are all of the candidates that you have running for mayor. It's your job to filter through the list, and we need to narrow it down. This is important. And if you play games with these 2-bit hustlers out here trying to make you think that they the greatest thing and they don't even know what they're talking about, shame on you. Shame on you if you let somebody come hustle you and you've never seen them do a body of work. You know they have never worked in government. They have never even organized in their community. They have never done anything just to say, you know what, our people deserve better. Everything that they do is about them getting attention. You need to be careful about that. I take this seriously. I know that you deserve better. And the work that I do speaks volumes. Whether you agree with everything I do or not, I have sacrificed a lot. Because if somebody doesn't sacrifice around here, we're never going to get anything done. And all I'm asking of you is to think about the welfare and the current state of this city. Black people deserve better. And we will only get it if we demand it and if we have the behaviors and the practices that reflect as such. All right, I want to bring on our first guest today, Mr. Chris White. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I am doing well. You know, I just covered what happened at the background behind having the town hall on Saturday, and you were one of our panelists. And I would love for you to give us your feedback, your analysis on the show, and what our options are as far as candidates.
I want to thank everyone. I want to thank you for having the forum, and thank you for inviting me to be a part of the forum. And I want people to understand that Black history is made every second. And that was a moment in Black history. And, you know, we often reach back to the past, which is important because the past, the present, and future African-centered concept of time is one and the same. But let us recognize what you and the people of Slate have done and have been doing, and put that in on the bookshelf when it comes to Black history. I think that the forum was a good forum, and I think the first thing that I was impressed with was all of the candidates did agree that they would not attack each other. They would center their focus on Mike Duggan. And what that means is that as of now, Black candidates aren't going to beat up on each other and help the white mayor. Let's just get it straight to the point.
Mm-hmm. Some of them won't. Some of them won't. The ones who were there. That's right.
Yeah, as of now, they will not do that. Now, I'll say this. The ones that get in the race that choose to attack other Black candidates and not attack the white mayor, I will attack them. I'm going to make that clear.
That should be everybody's. That should be everyone's response.
Because
that's right.
We don't have the time to play that game. So if you're getting in the race, and first of all, you should have been on this forum right here, because it was the forum of forums. It was well put together. The candidates respected the time. They brought diverse issues. You know, some of us had to keep them laughing. That's everywhere we go, you know, and then, you know, that's just on every forum. Even some of the candidates had to keep them laughing. And that's the beauty of a community. But if you think, I want to just put this round the table. If you think you're going to get in this race and spend your time attacking other Black candidates, we have a white mayor, we will attack you, because that's what has to happen, because we don't have that type of time to have this level of disunity within our community. And to get in there and know that you have a mayor that has been there for 7 years plus now, the track record of him is there. So you need not to attack each other, as the candidates did not do today at the forum, which was a beautiful thing. You need not attack each other. You need to square your attack on the record of the person who is in office today. So if you think, like I said, and then I'll close and you have another guest, if you think that you're going to get in here and just spend your time attacking other Black candidates, that day is gone. There's a moratorium on that. We don't need to do that. We already see each other killing each other on freeways like it's some type of sport. We already see that, okay? We don't need to use the ballot box as a form of killing each other too, all right?
Yeah.
So don't even think about trying it, because you will be dealt with. Now, you know, the voters have an option, and they have the candidates that have selected to run. Some have various different levels of experience. Make that the reason why you make your decision, but also understand what is happening in this city. The current mayor is not a saint. The current mayor is not a god. Because he is white, does that make him a saint? It does not make him a god. And because some of us as African Americans have lost faith in each other, have lost the ability to love each other, not only in the streets, but in the ballot box. Do not be afraid. Do not cop out. Do not refer to this man as a saint or God. Even though you may be afraid, even though you may be ashamed, don't put yourself in that category where we will have to be ashamed of you. And those candidates that came out and the people's slate have demonstrated that this is Black political power through voter education. And I hope to be back again to continue to be a part of this.
Thank you. And I'm really glad. I love the way that you frame that about candidates attacking each other. And, but it makes me also wonder about this small select group of people who want to support, and I've already mentioned a name like Raymond Jackson. The only thing he can tell you is about the other opponent, Anthony Adams. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. If somebody is that lets you know what type of candidate they would be. They can't even focus on a real issue because the real issue is Mike Duggan, right? If you can't focus on the issue as a candidate, I surely wouldn't expect for you to be able to do your job if you were selected. And that's what I'm saying to you. And the public needs to understand how dangerous that is. Anytime a man can get on social media, disrespect Nicole Small, Monica Lewis Patrick, another sister, Shakira Hawkins, who was running for judge. Like Black sisters who out here really trying to do some work because you mad, because nobody is supporting you. Who are you? We all had to earn our way. And for you to dismiss somebody like Monica Lewis Patrick on a post talking about who is she, don't nobody know her. No, don't nobody know you. Don't nobody know you. And you get mad when you can't have your way. See, when people show you who you are, who they are, you need to believe them. You need to believe them. And it bothers me that we have people in our community who can't even see past that. But it's such a select few, it's probably insignificant. But I agree with you. If we are not going to stay focused on Mike Duggan, you can't even be an option. Because that's what this race is about. And one thing I loved about Saturday is, I think that it shined a light on all of the candidates, how they respected each other and showed a sense of Black love for each other, right? Right there. And they knew that they were all competing for the same seat, but there was no hatred and animosity. And the thing is that I can see if you are talking about a current incumbent who's not doing their job and taking taxpayers' dollars, but to simply just start assassinating your opponent who look like you when you got the real attacker and the enemy in that seat as an incumbent, you must stay laser focused on that. Like, how do we change who is in that seat? Let's go to Wendy. Good morning. We can't hear you. We can't hear you, Wendy.
Oh no.
Okay, now we can hear you. Okay, good morning.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good morning. Yes, I want to add, well, first of all, thank you for having me on this morning, Nicole, and thank you for doing the town hall. I think I said this to you over the weekend, but I really feel like, this town hall shed a light on all of the candidates out there that who are at least, as far as we can see, taking their campaign seriously at this point, and even more so gave us like a sneak peek into what we're going to hear more of on the campaign trail, and potentially if these individuals are elected into public office, right? And so for me as a voter, I love the fact that it gave me that peek into the candidates and allowed me to quickly assess, who, I'm willing, at least as a voter, to pour more of my energy behind, and, who are those candidates that I may not quite agree with, right? But at the same time, understanding, just as Maya Jones, and you guys just talked about this, just as Maya Jones said at the end of the town hall, that is so important, even with that not to bash the candidates and for the candidates not to bash each other as we go through this process. And I really love the fact that Maya, as the youngest person on the call, because young people, we typically get such a bad rep, you know, for our attitudes in politics. And I love the fact that Maya, you know, you can tell that she's matured as a candidate. And she's taking her role very seriously, and making a statement like that spoke volumes. And you know, I mentioned this on the show, but I really, really enjoyed hearing from both her and Anthony a lot. They both seem very well informed, but all of the candidates overall did a very good job. You know, as I said, for me, it was about getting that sneak peek as a voter, and already I can see, okay, you know, these are the candidates we might want to keep an eye on, you know, for this seat. So it's going to get interesting.
Yeah. So do you think, and I'll start off with you, Wendy, do you think that voters, like in your age demographic, what do you think the climate is right now for this race? Do we have to build up a lot more momentum? Are they at least interested in getting involved?
Yeah, well, I'll say, you know, I know a lot of folks my age who are interested, and I know just as many who, you know, you could stay as far away from them, especially with these local elections, as you can get. And I think, you know, a lot of that is going to boil down to how creative these candidates and our current policymakers who are elected officials are with reaching out to our, you know, our generation. And I hate to say it that way and put the onus completely on those who, you know, have the position to do it, but it's the reality, right? When a lot of people in this city can look up and see, okay, every election that happens in the city of Detroit, there's something wrong with it. I can't even have the confidence that my vote is going to get counted if I even do take the time and show up. On top of the fact that most people still are not aware of the convenience of voting, even amid the pandemic. And then you have this segment of people who are just uninspired, right? Uninspired by what they see every day. Now let's go beyond politics and let's talk about what we see every single day in our communities. There are tons of people who are still struggling that have no confidence that going to go elect someone into a seat downtown is going to change that, because unfortunately, you know, our history has shown that, you know, even our own people have not done that for us. So I think it's going to boil down to the creativity of these candidates, which I really love that you guys did touch on that a bit in the town hall. And we heard a few things, but I would love to hear more about, you know, how these candidates are going to specifically, and not even just young people, right? Let's talk about marginalized people in general, because those are the folks that, if you show up for those marginalized folks, those are the folks who are really in the majority. You know, we're constantly calling marginalized groups minorities. Well, when you group us all together, we become a majority. And you see that in cities like Detroit. And I think oftentimes it is the case of, you know, we don't have elected officials, enough elected officials, I should say, because there are some out there, right? And we want to give them their credit, the Rashida Tlaibs and, you know, folks like her of the world, you know, who do the work. But for the most part, we aren't seeing that work be done. And then, you know, they turn around during election season and say, you know, make sure you go vote. And it's like, well, let me look around in my city. What am I voting for again? You know?
Yeah.
And so how creative are these candidates going to get, and what measures are they going to take to make us feel like, not like we should just come vote, but that if I come vote, I'm going to see a tangible result in my community as a result of that action. And you're not going to tell me that I got to sit on the back burner. I mean, we talk about Democrats doing it all the time, but our local officials do it here to us too, right? So it happens at all levels. So,
Chris, for me, there were a couple of things that stood out on Saturday. Again, one being that, you know, we did hear from some candidates that probably really don't have a pulse on what this role will entail, but they were willing to step out on the front line and to run for office. And, you know, one of the reasons I think that we're seeing such an overwhelming response is some Black people are starting to get it, that we need a resurgence of Black leadership leading Black people. We have gotten so far removed from understanding the significance of that. And I said this before, if we was going to pick a white mayor, we just didn't have to pick that one, right? Like I can think of some white folks who have lived in this city that definitely would not be as treacherous to and have such a laser focus on dismantling Black economic power and economic wealth, because that's what I see as being the center of his concerted effort of what the current mayor wants to do. But for you, do you think that we help to restore hope in having Black leadership in a supermajority Black city, the blackest city in the country?
I think it's the building blocks, and I think that the fact that some of the candidates' positions may not have been the ones that I would have advanced. Mm-hmm. The fact that they
like the STD.
Yeah, I would have changed the name, but to feel free that you can say it.
Yes.
That there were some that supported facial recognition technology.
Yeah,
Detroit police brutality, and most activists are against that. But she was allowed to advance that position. And it's the beginning when our people can talk to each other, mm-hmm. And learn from each other. And the listening audience can learn from each other. And in the end, decide that we're going to at least be unified. That is the beginning of the putting the first blocks in place to start attempting to rebuild Black political power. But it can only be accomplished if there's consciousness raising within the community. And that's what the forum did. So I'm thanking the candidates again. I'm thanking you, Wendy. Wendy got it in. She put some beautiful questions out there. And it's and the other panelists, the gentlemen, the issues were diverse. We covered as much as we could in that time. And that's what makes the forum good. And the other thing, there's no motive from any of us that's on the forum. We really, the only thing we want is to see a stronger Detroit, a stronger Black community, and political education. We're not trying to write books or, do rap videos and get blow up off the forum. We're just trying to educate the people, and that's what's important. And then we're willing to accept, even if I don't agree with, the direction mm-hmm. that the people are willing to take us by way of their ballot.
Right.
That's what's important. But once you put it out there and you see, and here's the last point I make on that, to see us, Wendy, myself, all of us, you don't have the usual so-called elite Negroes and white corporate surrogates acting as if they're experts, asking questions, and they're not even connected to what's going on. You actually had people that were panelists that mm-hmm. actually live the experience of a Detroiter, both good and both challenging, experiences that we live. And that's what's important, that we see ourselves as experts, and we see ourselves as thinkers, and that's what we were able to do today.
And I think it was, and I do believe that it was important also not to allow a platform of where someone will be reporting who does not live here, right. is not from here, does not have the same experiences as we do not understand that it is critical to give our people an opportunity to shine on a platform, to express themselves and to tell their own truth. And whether we agreed with it or not, right. to be able to tell their own truth in that and to shape their own narrative, because all we did was, and I didn't even craft the questions, okay? And that's something that I didn't mention. Right. I went to Chris and then Tristan for the criminal, the questions around crime and safety. We had Equitable Detroit Coalition around housing and development. We the people around water. Like, I went to the experts. I didn't even craft the questions. We had the Detroit active retirees president to craft the question behind the pension. And that's what's important, to make sure that we're inclusive of those right. who are living these experiences, who do this work and who are experts. I mean, I could have sat there, and I have opinions about all of those, and I could have just crafted the questions myself and the others on the team. But no, I think it's important to include our people who are doing this work in a different kind of way, to make sure that they, whether they're on a screen or not, that their questions are answered so their voices are heard.
Exactly.
And so because these candidates don't often get an opportunity to say who they are and what their platform is, you know, because mainstream media is dictating who you should support and who you should pay attention to. And they don't even live here. Like, that's how dangerous it is. And I say this all the time. I can't go to anybody else's city and tell them what's best for them and tell them who's the best leader. You know what I mean? Just specifically for their city. They don't allow it. So I don't know why we do either. And that was one of the main purposes of having this town hall on Saturday, is to tell our own story, because so often it's diluted, misconstrued by others who mean us no good. They just don't. And that is problematic. We have a mainstream media that is hyping up an incumbent around the COVID vaccines, and they are not telling a story about how the majority of people who getting these vaccines are not Detroiters. So why is he getting credit for doing something great for Detroiters when the majority of them are coming from up 75? Literally, up 75 and out 696. And that story is never told. So for me, I thought that was great, but I always say it's best for us to tell our own story, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
And I think moving forward, I do want to get what time is it? Yeah, let me ask you both this question. So we'll start off with Wendy, then we'll go to Chris. Ladies first. What do you think about not only campaigning during COVID, but the political climate? Will we be able to increase voter turnout this year?
I think with regard to voter turnout,
for the primary, that's what I mean. Let me be specific. For the primary.
So we did see a large, voter surge with the Trump election, and I think it'll come down to how well we can use the momentum that we just got from the 2020 election and bring that into this election. I think there are a lot of voters who are, yes, absolutely, more engaged, paying more attention, with the murders of, folks like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor last year. You did see a lot of people in the Black community in general start waking up and asking the right questions last year, not just about our federally elected officials, but especially those local ones. And I'm not sure if you guys saw the different memes and things in your timelines, but I do remember seeing it's not Trump who's important. Make sure you're paying attention to those local people too. And folks starting to say, yeah, we really should start looking more into these folks and figuring out which of those are for us and which ones are not. And seeing those conversations bubble up in my timeline last year was like, okay, people are starting to get it, right? But again, that was it. By the time the primary gets here, it's going to be almost a year ago. So it's going to go back to what I said before, how well, the current folks in place are going to, carry that momentum into next year. And organizations like Mobilize Detroit, we can only do so much. We can touch folks at the bus stops. We can pass out and provide information. We can, enter forums like this one and, educate folks. But it's going to come down to the efforts that we put out there as a whole. And so I'm interested to see what Janice Winfrey's office does, especially coming off of the heels of the election last year. I mean, to have the surge in participation we did, and especially absentee, I mean, we would be so remiss not to, I hate to say capitalize on that, but to capitalize on that. And so I'm going to be watching closely, and I guess we'll see.
Candidates have to generate that energy amongst the community. I think that typically there's a major drop in municipal elections versus the federal election. But if you're a candidate that's running, the ones that showed up, you have to be able to generate that interest. Your energy level has to be one that's going to connect with the voters and get them to come out. And there has to be, and I do agree with Wendy, clerk, we got to see what voter education, what civic literacy, and as community organizations, we have to, do our part. The People's Slate is doing this part. As Wendy said, her organization is doing, they're doing their part. We have to do that to generate the interest. And I want people to understand that if you're African American, this is your last chance in the city of Detroit.
Ooh, yes.
If you don't, if the current mayor is returned, it's over. And I
Yes.
say that from my experience. And I'm not, I understand that there be those that will have hope and things like that, but it is actually over. It's over because it shouldn't have got this far in the first place. So we have that responsibility to try to raise the level of consciousness amongst African American voters. And we only have 100 and some odd days to do that, but the candidates do have to do their part, and they have to connect with the voters. And if you're able to do that, and you're able to frame the issues and the narrative, educate the voters to stay away from the corporate media-led opinions, then you will see an increase in voters turnout. But if you run the traditional campaign, then you will have that traditional drop between federal and the municipal election. So it's going to come down. We're going to do our part. Three of us, we really are. We're going to do our part. But the voters do have to understand that if Mike Duggan wins again, it is over. It is over. It's the same as it was with Trump in America. If he would have won again, it was completely over for the nation. It was over.
And that's the point. Absolutely. Like, we have to start thinking about it in that light, is that whether you like this top candidate or not, it has to be about removing the treacherous leadership that we have in place right now in that seat of mayor. I mean, 4 more years. And I don't know if people really understand what that's going to mean for our quality of life, for us even being here in this city. And they think that, oh, that's so far-fetched, that can't happen because I work. No, you have to understand, first of all, taking over this city has been in a pipeline for so long, right? Yeah. This just didn't happen overnight. Yeah. They've been working on this for decades. And they waited and they were patient. See, when you get people who plan something and they have a long-term plan, it's the most dangerous one because they've had time to finesse it, right? And to work out the kinks and to do little test pilots. Oh, let's see how they respond to this so they can make sure they understand our behaviors, which they've done. They've done a phenomenal job of it. And that's exactly what has happened. But I hope for us that we understand that coming out to vote this year, you need to be voting in your best interest. You have an opportunity to increase not only your access to government, but to increase your economic and political power. At the end of the day, Black folks tired of struggling while we sitting here with this glass wall, not a whole glass wall, and we watching everybody else benefit off this so-called resurgence of the city. It's never a resurgence if it's not a resurgence of the people. It's never a resurgence if it's not a resurgence in the neighborhoods. Stop being fooled by everything, because everything that glitter ain't gold. So stop being fooled by what downtown looks like. What has this leader done for you? Matter of fact, you better write a list about what he has done to you to lock you out of these opportunities.
I mean, we take a look at, I guess they said the riverfront was the nicest
number one river, yeah.
But some of us, because there's so many water mains broke on our streets, we wake up to a riverfront in front of our home. You have water going down the street, and you have a riverfront in front of your home. So I was like, which riverfront? Because I see riverfronts all the time when I'm riding through the city of Detroit. You got water mains. And to go back to your point, when you talk about all across the country, I want us to understand, all across the country, Black cities are electing Black mayors. White states are starting to elect Black statewide officials. Here in Detroit, we not only have a white mayor, but we have taken the final step, the cultural surrender, deifying him and actually trying to make him a real saint. When you have that, when you have African Americans that are not only have a white mayor, but trying to actually really make him a saint, that says
off of the sacrifices, the bloodshed, the sweat equity, off of Black people. You gonna make him. I can't wait until we have this conversation tomorrow. Let's take a caller, guys, before you go. Hello and welcome to the Nicole Small Show. Go ahead with your question or comment. Hello? Are you still there? Is this protest riot? He must can't answer. So we have a couple of races coming up. Do you think that we, right now, our community, the majority of the electorate, do you think that we're ready to make a change and make the best decision to be able to focus on an office for mayor? Then, of course, we have council. Then we have city clerk. You know, it's going to take a lot of educating our, well, not our constituents, but to educate the voters, to get them to understand that they can walk and chew gum at the same time. So often I feel that that's such a struggle, that they'll just become focused on one particular race and not understand how collectively all the pieces of the puzzle fit together.
Right. Police commission
Yeah.
is a major, and it would be shameful after everyone got out there and protested and everyone got George Floyd posters all over the place, George Floyd, you name it, tattoo, George Floyd, decals, you name it. And then to have a drop off in participation in the police commission race, where we're one of the cities that actually have an elected police commission, it would say a lot about us. So it's going to come down to what you're doing. It's going to come down to what Wendy's doing and what, Ken Reed, on the legacy of people like Sandra Hines, who lies in a coma, whose birthday is today. She celebrates her birthday in a coma, and even in a state of being in a coma, she's still more woke than most
some of these people who walking around
here today. You see where I'm going?
I agree.
So yeah, we have to raise the level of consciousness.
Let's take the caller's call back. Good morning. Welcome to the Nicole Small Show. Go ahead.
Good morning, Ms. Small.
Good morning.
And good morning to your guest. Hey, I think that slate was so beautiful. But let me tell you what Duggan's strategy is now, what he's doing. A lot of people, y'all might not know, but I tell you, he's so slick. Now, peep out what he's doing. Remember, I think the last two shows, you had mentioned about the vaccine and if they can get a number on how many Detroiters are truly being vaccinated compared to people coming from up north and everywhere else. But when you brought that out, when you said that, right after that, right, he changed his strategy. He said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. He said, any Detroiter that want a vaccine, you can get it. But he wants somebody from any other county, across 8 Mile, Macomb, wherever, Livonia. He said that you have to take the Detroiter down there to get a shot. That's just another way of his ways of getting people the vaccine that's not even here. On top of that, he's really helping his campaign out. Think about it. Did that make any sense?
He's campaigning off of it. He's campaigning off of it. He's asking for donations on the same letter that's going out, telling people about the vaccine, and right at the bottom, you could click the button and donate to his campaign. He's not hiding it.
And the candidates are going to have to be able to say,
Right.
He's a professional hustler, period. And it's so shame, man.
Yeah.
And we got all these black sellouts, especially that guy that was speaking on Mr. Anthony. That's real sad.
Yeah,
but
it is.
That's what I wanted to bring out.
Thank you.
You got these outsiders coming in to take Detroiters to these different sites for the vaccine. That's a bunch of BS.
It is, and it's something that we need to pay attention to. Thank you so much for calling Protest Riot. And and where's our city council? Because they should be asking for a report for that, right? But because we don't have that level of transparency within the office of mayor, Wendy, I don't know, like some of the feedback you received, like from Mobilize Detroit, are people concerned about that? I mean, we've seen a news article that said that he's the most corrupt mayor. Somebody gave him an award for that. They talk about the level of collusion, malfeasance that takes place. But it seems that it's just a moment in time. It's a story for a hot second, and then it goes away. And the media never really delves deeper. So how does that impact like young millennials like yourself when you go to make decisions to vote? Are you tired of seeing this privilege work out for other people, and it's a different set of standards for our people?
Well, Nicole, I'm so glad that you asked this question because one of the things that consistently astounded me when we were out canvassing and talking to folks during the last election season was that people did not know. And it was amazing how much people just do not know. I would ask folks like, okay, are you aware of the overtaxation, the $500 million overtaxation of, oh, sorry, can you guys still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so there was, the $500 million overtaxation. I would ask folks if they were aware of that, and people constantly told me, no, I've never heard of that issue whatsoever. I'm not familiar. We heard that more times than not, and it was scary because it's like, if people don't even know about what's happening, then how can we get them to understand why they shouldn't be voting for this? And so I think, these people, and I think what it's going to come down to, and I've been reading a lot about Stacey Abrams' efforts, down in Georgia, and she's inspired me so much this most recent election season in particular. And from what I've read about her, they've spent over a decade doing a lot of the work that they were doing down in Georgia, well over a decade. Stacey's not new to this; she is true to this, as they say.
Yeah.
And with that,
Yeah.
I think one of the first things I think about with regard to Detroit is that it's gonna take some time to educate folks the way that we need to educate them so that they know what's happening. I think we have spent so many years sort of living under a rock because of all the pervasive issues that we deal with that come first every day, right? And then we forget to pay attention while we're dealing with our own personal battles. We forget to look at the bigger picture. And when we do, our elected officials can get away with a whole lot more when they know we don't have the time or the wherewithal to even worry about what they're doing downtown, right? And then it comes back to bite us in the butt. So I think that there needs to be some intention with regard to all of us who are in this, right? All of the organizations, all of the grassroots folks, all of the elected officials, and those who want to be elected that want to do this work. I think there needs to be a lot of intention to consistently educate our people so that they become aware of what is happening to us, what has happened to us, and then we can use that momentum to start changing our elections. I don't think it's just going to happen, in one election season or even in this election season. I think we are going to have to stay consistent. We are going to have to keep pounding the pavement. And even if, God forbid, Doug is put back in his seat this year, we can't stop. And that's, that's what I'd offer to that.
All right. So and just to let you know, Wendy, we will be looking at the seat for clerk. April the 24th will be the town hall for the clerk's race. So I hope you stay engaged during that process as well. Any last words, Chris?
Again, I want to thank you. And I want to thank the panelists. I want to thank the community and the candidates for taking the step. And, the rougher the water, the stronger the swimmer. Right now, it's about voters' education. It's about civic literacy. It's about love yourself. It's about Black pride, Black power, Black consciousness. And again, and I'll close, if anybody's thinking about getting in this race, they're going to attack the other Black candidates, we're going to get you.
That's right. We're going to set a standard around here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you both so much. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you joining me today to reflect on the town hall. Great insight and input as always. And we will be going to a break right now. We'll be right back with some viewers who were watching the town hall on Saturday, and we'll get their feedback. We'll be right back on the Nicole Small Show after this break.
Welcome to the Nicole Small Show, where we give you straight talk with no chaser. Here, we discuss issues from the White House to your house. And now, here's your host, Nicole Small.
Protect the vote, Detroit. August 3rd, 2021, with Beverly Kendall Walker for Detroit City Council. Be the change you want to see in the world. So protect the vote, Detroit. August 3rd, 2021. Call or text Beverly Kendall Walker at 313-618-9749 for more information. So get out there and vote with Beverly Kendall Walker for Detroit City Clerk. You voted, now what? You Voted Now What LLC is a social impact marketing firm for the business person looking for bold strategies to unleash the buying power of our community. That's social impact marketing. Find more info at info@youvotednowwhat.com. Mention the Nicole Small Show for a 15% discount. That's right. Email info@youvotednowwhat.com for more information. And remember, get your souls to the polls August 3rd, 2021 for the Detroit mayoral election.
Tune in to the Nicole Small Show, Mondays and Tuesdays from 8 to 10 a.m., where you'll get straight talk with no chaser. If you miss a show, then you won't know. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Facebook.
Welcome back to the Nicole Small Show. Today we are reflecting on the town hall, the mayoral town hall that took place this past Saturday for candidates who are seeking the office of mayor of the city of Detroit. Earlier on the show, we were joined by our panelists at Saturday's town hall, Chris White and also Wendy Liddell. We're going to delve a little bit deeper and get some perspectives and analysis from viewers just like you who took part by participating, watching the town hall. You're Detroiters, and we want to get some feedback from you. Good morning, Joy Kent and Ken Snap.
Good morning, Miss Nicole. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So, Joy, what did you think? Tell me what you expected before watching the town hall, and then I want to hear, give me some critique, your analysis, what your thoughts are now that the town hall is over.
I got exactly what I expected. I expected a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And first, I want to really, really, really thank you for doing that, because I was lost, and I love my city and I love to know who's in charge of what. And you brought that to the table because I had no clue. And I had a chance to see faces behind the name and what their platform is, if they had solutions to what's going on, if they didn't have solutions. And that's what you brought to the table. So I got exactly what I look for. Some with solutions and some with not. Some, trying to run for whatever reason, and some that really means what they're trying to do.
All right.
So, yeah.
Thank you. And Ken, what about you? What were your expectations before watching the town hall, and then what's your analysis after you've seen it?
Hey, Nicole, good morning. When I was watching, I was just, open-minded and trying to see where we can establish a ranking of top 3. It's unfortunate that other people didn't show up. We have 18 people, like you said, that pulled petitions. And it was sad to only seat 5. That just shows how serious you are to get into these races. I ran back in 2017, And, our biggest point as a campaign was to always get to every event because it's important for the people to see your face. If people aren't seeing your face and they can't attach your name to your face, then you're failing as a candidate, and that's simply behind your commitment or just the vast majority of all these candidates that don't have teams or even websites. We talked over the weekend. It's hard to pinpoint certain policies if you don't have a website or a platform so people can go and get involved. And it just shows the lack and preparation that you guys have had. You didn't just wake up yesterday and decide you're running. That's just, the realization. A lot of people don't have policy ideas or plans. So it's disheartening to see these people who are not just running for the first time. Let's get that real and honest here. They're not running for the first time. This is a lot of people, their second, third, fourth campaign, and a lot of for the same position. So what you had to do 4 years ago, 2017. Some of you guys know what you had to do back in the first election. What was that, 2013? So you've had 4, 8, 12 years, however long, to get your stuff together. Don't, like you said, all you have to do is answer 2 questions just to get into the conversation or into the platform that you hosted. And you found people that couldn't even do that. So how can we take you serious at this point?
So you bring up a great point. And I never thought about it in that light, that some of these candidates had already run before. And we need to take a look at that. Did we see some growth from any of these candidates? And if not, I think that that's more dangerous than you coming unprepared as a new candidate. To know that you ran before, that means that you don't take this job seriously enough. You don't really care enough about improving the conditions of this city and the quality of life for Detroiters, because you didn't even take a step back and say, you know what, this is where I was weak. This is where I failed in my previous campaign, which is what we're all supposed to do on any project. When you're trying to accomplish any goal, when you don't get it right, even if you win, you're always supposed to take a look back and do an analysis and say, you know what, this is where I could have been better. And you come back better and stronger. But especially when you're running for an office, a position to be a public servant, and maybe that's the problem. Some people running are not running to actually be a public servant as opposed to just being a title holder. And maybe that's the reason why some of them really don't know any better. They don't have a team, which I agree with you, Ken. That's dangerous. You want to run, first of all, you can't run for a district and not have a team, let alone run citywide and you don't have a team. But I'm glad you brought that point to light, that some of them had ran before a couple of times, or they've run for several different offices. There is a higher level of expectation that you have for those candidates who have done that before. Joy, so going into this, watching the town hall, did you recognize that there are several candidates who have ran for this same office, this position before as mayor?
No, he brought up a very, very good point, because I did not recognize that any of those candidates had ran before 2 or 3 times, even for different positions. I don't recognize, only name I recognize is Anthony Adams. That's the only name I recognized. I didn't recognize him. Unfortunately, that title, any title, is just got some kind of glorification behind it, and people are just grasping to that. And that's why you're here, Nicole, to shine a light on things and try to change the momentum of the things that's been happening in the city, try to get people to wake up. And people think that you just have to vote for the president and then you can sit back. No, you have to go local. You have to go federally with the legislature. You have to go a lot of different angles to make sure things are running right in your community. So it goes further than just voting for the president. So this is very, very serious. And for the other candidates to not even show up, out of 11 and 5 came, that told us right there who's serious and who's not. And that narrowed it down for me, that's for sure. So
and I want to be clear, there were a few who just didn't show up. There were others that just didn't complete the process, right? Because we had to have some type of standard here. You have to be able to give us just those 3 things. There were a few of them who missed the mark on answering the question or just simply sending a headshot. And that's why we had to say, you know what, well, we need to be fair across the board. If these other candidates were able to comply and to submit those 3 requirements, which we thought were low-hanging fruit to be running for an office of mayor, right? We had to set the standard. But it was only 3 of them who didn't make the cut because of that. The other ones, no, they didn't respond. And for me, I think it speaks volumes about what, you know, how seriously they take this. And, you know, and maybe you just didn't want to be a part of the People Slate platform, you know, that could be it too. And that's okay. That part is okay. But all in all, you know, what we do here is to educate the community. And so what I hope happens moving on is that they step their game up to make sure that they're educating the community in some way about their platforms. And Ken, you know, when we talk about this race, potentially the incumbent can be going into his 3rd term as mayor. And we talked about this earlier before the break, how dangerous that could be to Detroiters. And they really should understand that. In your opinion, what do you think it's going to take for someone to really run a viable campaign against Mayor Duggan?
Well, you know, I think you've talked about this multiple times on your show, and using this platform to actually get out the valid points that we have and face as citizens of Detroit. But the people who are really failing us are the major mainstream media platforms. They continue to fail the Black electorate time and time again. Ever since Duggan ran the first time, we've only seen things tailored to his message. You know, unfortunately, I was, you know, a victim to this, you know, running as, you know, I was the youngest person to ever run for mayor back in 2017. It's a lot of things you don't know, but we came with great ideas. We came with policy points. We had websites. We had everything. We were running efficiently, and we were just, all gears were grinding, but we weren't getting the proper exposure to the media. And this was free media. This was Channel 4, Channel 7, all the major broadcasting networks. You know, I was on 910 almost every week, but that wasn't enough. You have Duggan, you know, hell, he did this, he did that. And you're going to find yourselves in a different arena this year because Duggan is coming off of COVID. Not a lot of things are going to be in person, so people can't do in-person announcements, can't do in-person events like they want to. Fundraising is going to be strictly virtual, just about, because it's going to be bad for a candidate to hold a in-person event with over 50 people, you know. And let's be realistic, if you know about politics, 50 people, that's not enough to raise what you need in person at an in-person event. So Duggan already has his, you know, his monster machine that's going, and the mainstream media is feeding into everything he says. You know, it's almost a shame that I can speak to this, that we sent out press releases, you know, within our first week of announcing this campaign this year. And even though it's not a mayoral campaign, we still saw like ML Elric getting all the credit. You know, he was a former media correspondent and figure, and all his buddies were just sharing his story over and over. They weren't looking into who else is running, what is his policy. You know, I think we have to look at this local election in a retrospect as a takeover. Like you always say, it's simply a takeover of who's connected to the main machine. You know, you're going to see it come out sooner or later, just a whole bunch of people that might be handpicked by Duggan, you know. But to answer the second part of the question, we need to see key policy points from these candidates. And I can say I'm looking at 2 candidates right now. When I ran against Maya last time, I didn't think she was prepared, but this year it sounds like she knows what she's talking about. She sounds like she's took the time, but I want to see her put more emphasis into marketing herself and putting her face out there. I haven't seen an announcement from her to let people know that she's running just on Facebook. You know, that's as simple as that. You're reaching 5,000 people that way. Figure out the algorithm, figure out all the different things you have to market yourself. And a lot of these people are not doing it. And when you start marketing yourself, have your website ready to go so people can subscribe, so they can donate money, so they can find out what your policy points are about. This should have been done way back in October of last year, not in February of this year, not in April, not after you pull petitions. All this should have been ready to go. As soon as you said, hey, I'm thinking about running, or hey, I am running. And those are the key points that a lot of these people have been through before. Maya, this is her third time running. She ran for mayor in 2017. She ran right after that in 2018. She ran for state rep, and now she's back again running for mayor. Maya, come on. Like, we young Black millennials, we got to get behind each other. And like you said, we got to pick one candidate. So whoever has all those ready to go shows me they're the most serious. And that's who that's who I would pay attention to.
Okay. All right, Joy, before we go, do you feel as a voter I don't think you've ever run for office, have you?
No, ma'am. I've a volunteer, but I've never ran.
Okay, so as a voter who's never run for office, do you feel that you're sheltered from a lot of information that's going on in our community, even from our current elected government? And that is sometimes an issue for why we don't always make the best decisions when electing candidates, because you don't know what they have done or haven't done.
For me personally, I'm a reader. So I could be passing a billboard full of notifications on it, and I'm the one that stops and reads what's up there. Word free flashes out at me, then I dig deeper. I'm the one that goes on websites and read what's going on on websites. A lot of information is out there. We're not taking time to read, to absorb, to research. I guess we have to make up the difference for those who are not like I am myself. But there's information out there. There's a lot of things going on that, that can lead you to better knowledge yourself, to better equip yourself to navigate through what's going on in your community. So, and I volunteer a lot. Volunteering, I can't express how much volunteering that just does so much. It opens up so many doors. It opens up your eyes to a lot of things. So we may have to do more due diligence to get information out to those who aren't as much of a reader as I am, or who digs into the background, go behind the scenes of things. So we may have to do more critiquing on that aspect. But the information is out there. When you pull up someone's name, their birth date, where they live at, how many kids they have, all of that is there. So, with technology now today, there's not too many excuses, except for if you're not someone like me that likes to look into things and watch people like Miss Nicole. Just watching you 2 hours a day, 2 hours a week, you gain a lot of knowledge. For 2 hours, you gain a lot of knowledge, you learn a lot. So it just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and you really want to know it and want to have it and want to grasp whatever it is you're looking for. So I appreciate your platform. I don't listen to everybody. I pick and choose because, I just try to pick up on who's positive and who's really trying to bring it to the table, and you're one of them. So, I really appreciate that. And you just have to do little small things like that. And once you do get a candidate, go call up, get their number, call up, volunteer, go knock on doors, tell your neighbors about this person. So there's just a lot of work to do for just ourselves, just me. I'm going to volunteer. Whoever I choose, I'm going to volunteer to make sure that they're put out there, their faces out there, and that they're known on the ballot. So, and I thank you for this time. I'm a little
thank you.
So maybe a bit more.
Thank you.
Calm, a little nervous, but thank you.
Thank you both so much for joining the Nicole Small Show today. I really appreciate you, giving us your feedback, your opinions about the town hall. As a viewer, I think it's so important not to just focus solely on those who are on the main stage, because we know at the end of the day, it's the people who are watching, it's the people who are impacted, by these issues, by these campaigns, that we really need to make sure that we have a stronger connection to understand, look, what we're doing well, what we need to improve on when it comes to educating voters, because we have to have a movement. We know if we don't have a movement this year, then we won't move, okay, beyond these obstacles that have been placed in front of us. So thank you both for joining us today. And we will be going to a break. Right after the break, we will bring on Brenda Hill and Tia Shepherd to give their analysis on the Mayoral Town Hall. We'll be right back on the Nicole Small Show.
Tune in to the Nicole Small Show, Mondays and Tuesdays from 8 to 10 a.m., where you'll get straight talk with no chaser. If you miss a show, then you won't know. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Facebook.
Protect the Vote, Detroit, August 3rd, 2021, with Beverly Kendall Walker for Detroit City Council. Be the change you want to see in the world. So protect the vote, Detroit, August 3rd, 2021. Call or text Beverly Kendall Walker at 313-618-9749 for more information. So get out there and vote with Beverly Kendall Walker for Detroit City Clerk.
Welcome back to the Nicole Small Show. Today we are talking about some of the feedback that we received from some of the panelists and the viewers of this Saturday's People Slate 2021 Mayoral Town Hall. Keep in mind, this is just the first of a series of events that we will be doing this year. Yes, we will be coming back for another town hall, but it will be a mayoral debate the next time, and that will happen after the filing deadline, after we're able to, narrow it down to the people who actually made the ballot. And then we will also, April the 24th, which is a Saturday, we will be holding a town hall for the race for city clerk. I think at that one we may, because I see only 5 people running. Let's see how things work out, who makes the ballot. Maybe we'll be able to actually invite the incumbent to this to this event for that one. We couldn't do it with 11 people running for mayor. It just wouldn't have worked out. So again, April the 24th, and you'll be receiving some information about that. We will have a town hall for candidates running for Detroit City Clerk. Right now, I am joined by Brenda Hill and Tia Shepherd. And thank you both so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. And I want to get feedback from both of you regarding the town hall. Let's start off with you, Tia. You did help us out with public comment.
Can you guys hear me?
As you were reading through the comments, do you think that people actually understood the way that they were posing their questions, the role of mayor, and they were asking some really viable questions for potential candidates that were seeking office?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just got on headphones, so I'm at work. My first day back to work, so I'm working outside. But people asked a lot of good questions. Some people were far off or was really, I'm going to say, struck by some of the answers that were given back as feedback or to the questions at hand. But for the most part, pretty much everybody was good with it. It was really well informed. You did an excellent job. The People Slate did an excellent job. I wish more candidates could have been involved, but Other than that, it was a real good forum. We did have some laughs.
Yes.
We had some laughs. It's not so much a laughing at the person, just the things that was being brought to the table was just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
I had a caption of you. I think I laughed so hard at one with the dollar one. That was funny. And then she said, if I give my $1 million, I'll give 100,000 back to the pensioner. I said, oh Lord, she done. She done.
Oh yeah, because those pensioners don't play.
Hey, you should have seen those comments. Like, what? I mean, the comments just started lighting up. I was like, oh wow. But for the most part, Maya did an excellent job. I would like to see her come up in the near future. She did a real good job. She was well informed from the last time, so she learned a lot of things, trying. And I give the girl all credit. What I did like about it is that no one tore nobody down. Even with the questions that was like, some of the answers were like, are you serious? No one disrespected anyone or made it where it was a debate, more so just telling you about themselves, and they stuck to the questions. Some
Right.
were a little off, but I give you an A for effort. That was amazing. I give you an A for effort. And the hat, baby, the hat. When she put on that hat to let us know that she was for the people. Oh, baby. But overall, besides the laughs and giggles, the reality of it is we do have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And I would like to see more of a negotiating candidate, because if you
Mm,
don't know how to negotiate dealing with what we got coming across this path, you are in a world of trouble. So
yeah.
of course we already know Anthony basically know what it is. It's not giving him something that he don't know. It's not how can I say it? It's not putting people out here just to be ignorant. They might be viable in their own space, just not for mayor right now.
Yes.
You might bring something to the table in your community, and that's fine. At least you had the effort to stand up. It's like everybody says, somebody for everybody. You just got to be careful on when it comes down to Detroit. You have to look at it overall. We can be grassroots, but in the same token, I want to make sure that you understand that corporate, sir, because Detroit has a major corporate community, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to relate to both sides. You can relate with the people in the streets, but if you can't cross over and relate to that corporate side, then we have a problem.
You're right. You're
So,
right. You're right.
um, other than that, like I said, it was a real good forum. I can't wait to see what the city council look like.
Yeah.
Just to give us heads up, I really can't wait to see that. But overall, I mean, pretty much we know what it is right now. Um, Wait to see what everybody else says.
All
And that's
right.
pretty much it.
All right, Miss Brenda Hill.
You looking good, baby.
We
You looking
know
good.
that you're gonna lay
You
right
looking
out on the
good.
line. So give us your thoughts around some of the commentary that you've seen. Do you think that our community was really able to receive um, the exposure that these candidates were given, right? Because some of them could say that they heard them in snippets before. And like I said, all four have been mentioned in the Detroit news, right? But this was the first time, even though it was limited to 2 minutes. And I do want to just say this really quickly. Listen, we were scheduled to have 5 candidates on. We only ended up with 4. And with 4 candidates and 2-minute responses, we still went for 2 hours. And I want people to understand that what happened is we were able to get in more comments from the public because we only had 4 candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we might would have only been able to take 3 questions total
Right.
from public comment,
Right.
from the candidates. So I was really happy that we were able to allow for the public to be able to engage. And I believe we took 6 or 8 comments from the public, which was really good for me. It's not a lot in comparison to everyone who watched, but for you, Brenda, do you think that this will now at least open up the eyes to our community, those people who are voting, to start really taking this more seriously and to ask the right questions, right? Because every question was pertinent to the role of mayor.
Well, first of all, I thank you for having me on. and I thank you for seeing y'all faces. You know, it's been a while.
Yes.
And I appreciate the candidates that did come on. And this is a game changer. This forum was a game changer. This was the most interactive forum that people may never have seen before and may see going forward. This may be the standard. And if you're really interested and active in the community, in politics, and social justice, this was the place to be. And if you missed out, you need to go to the YouTube and check it out, but follow going forward. I know that Anthony Adams and Maya Jones and Artisha Bomer have been around for a little while and did not expect the kind of interaction they received from the public. Webb and Artisha are just not ready for prime time. They're just not. The STD, I mean, it was just some ridiculous stuff going on, and some comments that I want to go off, but I want to take this seriously. If you don't know what defund the police means right now,
Yeah,
then you should not be running. Then you should not be running. You need to go learn some of the issues. And if you're here and you don't have a real basic knowledge of processes like commenting on the clawback with the retirees, you don't even know about the bankruptcy and how that affects
I'm on a
what
Zoom
you
call,
can
so when I
affect
get up, but
going
I'm gonna be
on.
here all day.
I mean, you need not to be running. And this is the first day of Women's History Month.
That's right.
And I was not impressed by some of these women. And they need to know that this is not a game. This is not it's something to do. It's not for you to get your name out there. You need to take this seriously, and I take it seriously. And that's what I did not see. Some people, I mean, that butt crap, that STD, I mean, really, I mean, that wasted our time, and we're not there. And I want to say one more thing. I heard Ken Snap say this. If you don't have your website already going, if you have not been in the community since before the pandemic, if you don't have a resource, and let me tell you, volunteers count as money as well.
Yes, they do. Your time is money.
That's right. And if you don't know that stuff, you need to move on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you your campaign is not in order already, because if you don't know that you're gonna get the signatures, then you need to get out. You don't have enough time left, and really, you're really out of the game in May. Your name is on the ballot.
Yes.
But if you don't have not already counted your votes, if you don't already have the support you need, if you don't have the money you need, if you don't have the time that you need, you really need to get out right now.
And and the numbers the names are increasing. I just looked it up. We have another person who pulled petitions, Tyrone Perry. So that's another name.
And who is that?
Look, if you know, I know.
Look,
well,
half of this.
So you got me on here, you and Tia, and with all of us. If we don't know you, you shouldn't be in this race.
Hey, I'm not trying to be funny, but you got people who know people, but you really don't know. And my thing is, if we're not talking about something in the district wide, we're talking about something overall citywide. relationships beyond the city. You
Yep.
have to have that. And if you don't have that type of input in a mayoral form, what makes you think you're gonna sit at the table and beat Mike Duckett? It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
know, I mean, why waste your money? My thing is, if you're not dedicated, then I'm not dedicated to you. It's
And
just that
all you're
simple.
doing is um,
You're
wasting,
muddying the waters and you're
muddying the
becoming a
waters
distraction.
and
You know,
taking
that's why I'm
people's
saying it's
votes.
yeah,
And we have
you're
to
gonna
look
be
at
a
that.
distraction. If we have people can say what they want to say about some of these candidates, like, oh, they're a joke. You know, we hear all of that. But let me explain something to you. When some of these people get on the ballot, because of the type of race that this is, they get on this ballot, they become a distraction. It
Yep.
distracts voters from focusing on a real viable candidate. And we just not afforded the luxury to be able to have that happen. That's my point right there. We
And
are in
and
these are troubled
and
waters right now.
What you know
and
what the
this
go
is
ahead.
serious. I'm looking for housing, and Tia's looking for housing,
Hmm.
and how these neighborhoods have been gentrified. Neighborhoods
Yes.
you haven't even
You
thought of. You
you
know,
know what?
they're asking for
He,
$2,000 for a one
oh,
bedroom
and
a
it's like
month.
I walk
Go
through
ahead,
these
Tia.
neighborhoods. I say it's like I walk through these neighborhoods all my life. And you telling me you want me to pay $2,500 when I could go around the corner and see homeless people still out here struggling trying to
Yes.
survive? You crazy. It's nowhere in the city of Detroit that it's an upscale neighborhood that you don't walk 2 or 3 blocks over and you see the reality of Detroit. That's
And
a
I
problem.
want people to understand that statement.
You
This is
know, I,
how it's being gentrified. They're dropping people in neighborhoods with homeless. With first of all, this city is at or 60% at or below the poverty level. That's the
Mhm.
majority, and that's who we should be speaking to. But however, like Tia said, you go into one neighborhood and there's bums on the corner, and they're asking for $2,500. They're asking for $3,000 in places when you go over not even a block, an alleyway. And so we're being priced out of our own city.
well, here's the
But
problem.
see,
It's so,
but let me ask both you, Tia and Brenda, this. For me, what I think is that sometimes our voters fail to realize it's this type of issue that is supposed to be addressed. Is this type of issue that should be rectified by the mayor? You know what I mean? They know. Oh, I think that they just totally address it or look at it as if, oh, that's just business. No, understand this. When you talk about housing in a city, that is the responsibility of the mayor to address making sure that you have adequate, affordable housing for the majority of those living in
Mm-hmm.
your city that
Mm-hmm.
you are responsible for. Period. Just like when a person owns an organization, when they do their budget and they take a look at compensation packages, you need to make sure that you have the best, the most competitive compensation package that you can in order to make sure that you're satisfying the needs of your employees, right? And your organization to have a good retention rate. And what I'm saying is there's no plan to retain the Detroiters who have been here. There is
No.
a plan to exclude them, and housing is the number one way that they do it.
And it's a psychological game as well. You
yeah,
know, a lot
yeah,
of people
yeah.
don't want the next person, the next door neighbor knows that they can't pay their property taxes now because two people have moved in and put a $300,000 mortgage on their house, and
Yeah.
now your property taxes go up astronomically, and you have not changed. You're on a fixed income probably, or you
Mm.
know you're making minimum wage, and your taxes are going to be raised by a third, and not only will you lose your house, then you can no longer be a Detroiter. And so those who are left are now those who are respectful of the current government because they got a house for $1,000 that they now can say is worth $300,000. And if
You're
they
right.
don't want to live next door to you, you're priced out because of property taxes.
So Tia, when it came to the town hall, in your opinion, who do you think will be the candidate that could be most likely to find a solution to look at how our dollars are allocated in the budget to make sure we have solutions to housing, to water, access to these prevailing paying jobs, prevailing wages, and to make sure that we have more appointees who have actually been here, right? And should have it. Because listen, if you're not giving them access to economic opportunities, it's only going to get worse, right? So who do you think was
Right.
best to fit that to be in the best position to lead as mayor with those solutions?
I mean, it's hands down. You know, Anthony knows what it is here. Let's just be realistic. He's been a part of from the school system to the water board to different things. And I want to make this clear. When the time frame that he was engaged in a process, people have to realize what had happened before he got there.
Hmm.
People don't understand the first regime, he wasn't with Kwame at that point in time. If you look at dates and stuff when that happened, that was 01, 02, 03, he wasn't there. So you have to do
Who
your
the
research.
current deputy mayor was Conrad
Yeah,
Mallett, and
we
nobody
know,
says
but
anything about
see,
that.
nobody says anything about it. But people don't understand that. So again, you know, my philosophy is you can't talk about one and not talk about the other. You
That's
know,
right.
I
And
truly don't understand.
Hold on one
everybody
second.
has
Hold on, Brenda, 1 second. Finish up, Tia.
okay.
People don't understand the technicality of what's really going on. You know, as a voter, we're engaged, so we understand exactly what's going on. But for the life of me, what I can't understand is this. So much money has been misappropriated that funding could have went to help people in need instead of being misappropriated. And you know, it's like we're gonna take our 25% to misappropriate off the bat because that 25% equal up to 100%. And people also need to understand it's not so much as gentrification that's going on that people don't realize. People want neighborhoods. People want to have beautiful things. People want to see growth in their community. But you got to help the entire community.
Right.
You can't just help one sector and think that we done did a job there. You know, you got Grand River looking like shit, you know, crap right now. Realistically, if you drive out, they done had accidents all on last year. That stuff was a joke. That's money that been mishandled when we didn't need that. But you could have helped the people that's over there behind the Java House who living in poverty over there off of Orchard and all that. You could have helped them people find stability in them homes. That's the problem I have. My thing is, okay, y'all say the mayor doing this, but y'all not telling that all them buildings that's being downtown are not fully occupied either. And eventually y'all gonna need subsidy money in order to maintain them because people leaving because of the pandemic. Their jobs are remote. They going back home to be with their families. So you got half of downtown that's not really full that people quote unquote think it is gentrifying. They got them buildings there and they dropping rates. They dropping rates now because guess what? They need that government money because you don't have the people that can afford to pay their rent.
Well, the majority of them are owned and occupied or used for Airbnbs because they really can't find enough people to
Exactly.
come and be able to afford to stay in them. So, Brenda, for you, what were you looking? Who do you think was best fit to have some solutions to our issues and some rapid solutions, right? So we want, in my opinion, I think we should look for the candidate with the least learning curve, but that we know have solutions that would help have a resurgence of the people, right? And not of corporate welfare because they're getting more than their fair share.
I like the question during the forum about knowing how much money it would take to run this campaign. And let me say this, in 2019, I was seeing Anthony Adams at all the community meetings, not really speaking, but listening. and writing down what were the needs of the people. I didn't see any of those other candidates doing that. And that was 2 years ago. And then during this pandemic, and every time I turn around, I get an invite to a Zoom meeting that Anthony Adams is having with this association or that organization or that group of people in this pandemic, because it's the people that count. I haven't seen that from any of the other candidates. Those things are very important. Now, let me tell you something. Anthony Adams knows policy and procedure in this city. I mean, like the back of his hand. He doesn't have to rifle through papers. He doesn't have to get his assistant. And not only that, he comes across as mayoral. He also has a quick wit as well. Detroit likes a person with a personality. He has that personality. But he knows how things should run, what's being done wrong, and how we can fix it. And that's what I saw, and I didn't see from the other candidates. And right now, and Chris White said, this is our last chance. It really is. If we don't do what we need to do now, and everybody who's listening, you have a job to do as well. You have to affect at least 20 more people. You should have 20 more people ready to give their time or give their $25, a month to a candidacy. You have to participate because, and I'll go back to housing. You give a candidate $25 a month and look at what you're going to gain. Your services are going to be better. You're not going to have misappropriated funds, and you're not going to be paying 3 times for housing what you were just paying 7 years ago, 4 years ago. And so $25 and an hour of your time, and you save so much. But however, we're in a hole right now in every genre. For those who live in this city, stuck in state, and most of those are at or below poverty level. And those are who we need to be fighting for and speaking to. And you need to affect that. My family calls me and I tell them who to vote for. It's just that simple, right? If they can't get on Zoom meetings or don't want to get on Zoom meetings, but they're going to vote, I'm going to tell them who to vote for. And we need the people out here listening to understand that that's part of what they need to do. And they need to get their money up. If we don't want corporate backers taking over this election, we're going to have to give money.
That's true. That's true. But getting past some of the obstacles that our own people put in place, which I think are some of the biggest distractions, misleading people with misinformation. These rumors, until you brought it up. Listen, Anthony is a viable candidate. I thought Maya did a phenomenal job showing her growth. You know what I mean? She came a long way, and I hear you. What you guys are saying, but we need somebody who's more ready to respond in that seat. But it was so great to see a couple of things. One, I like the fact that no one diminished anyone else as far as thinking that they knew everything, right? Because Anthony has a learning curve too, to build with the people, right? That's where his weakness, not policies, not understanding government, but you have to get out there and build the trust of the people.
That's right.
I think Maya came in and she needed more visibility to be seen as a serious candidate, right? Not or a serious politician, right? Last time, I will tell Maya this, like, she had this sense of not really understanding the political landscape, and I still think that she has some growth to go there. But I was so proud of her, how she conveyed her position on the issues, and for her to be the youngest person. And I agree with Chris. and Wendy to speak out and to say, you know what, we're not going to tear each other down. You know, that was a
Exactly.
great point too. But for me, we so often, we claim that we want something different. And then when we have an opportunity, unlike other communities, we won't take advantage of that opportunity.
Right.
We gonna find 20,000 different ways to tear that opportunity apart just so we can see the same circumstances that we are in. And I think that there's a concerted effort with some of the people in our community to make sure that happens.
It
And you know,
is.
I ask people all the time, if you don't want Anthony, then who? And you can't even name me a viable candidate. So you in the way.
Well,
That's what I'm
here's my
saying. You're in the way. You can't
Yep.
take away, his level of expertise, his knowledge, and his ability to do the job. Not saying that he's the only one who could do that job, who is going to be putting their name into the hat right now. But I'm saying we all know that that was the name that was most visible, you know what I mean, that has been put out here the longest to even receive some media attention, even though it wasn't the most favorable. So if you don't want him, then who? And if you can't tell me someone else that you want that is viable, that can really do the job, then you're in the way. And I don't know if you really want change. And so it's not just for the mayoral race. It's the same thing for me with the race for city clerk. And I've said this on a call, and I want to hear from both of you. You know, April the 24th, we're going to have a town hall for those who are seeking the office of city clerk. You get so many complaints about, oh, the election is this, the election is that. Well, what are you going to do about it? To Brenda's point, we have some work to do. But Tia, do you think that our community right now, we still have a little bit of time to get some things together, because we really don't, but just a little bit of time. Do you think that we're ready for changes of that magnitude, to look at the change for mayor, to look at the change for city clerk and some city council races? Or is it too much for our community right now?
What do we have to lose? What are we getting now? If you're not satisfied with what you get, like, you know, where I'm coming from, you know, over in my district, and I'm gonna say this and put it point blank, we have well-known candidates that's running for a position of something that grassroots that's coming out of my community, but yet we still have a plea dealing councilman in there. If y'all ain't come together and got him out, what makes you think you gonna come together and get Mike Duggan out? Because his vote affected a lot of things that's happened. He shouldn't have been there. But we skipping over him. No, we ain't gonna do him. We gonna go after him. Makes sense to that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't started trying to correct your own community and what you live in and represent, I'm not really trying to hear what you saying at a city level, because you can't take care of home.
And those who are in District 7, and you thinking of running, you're trying to run, and you have a criminal who has admitted criminality, yet he's voting on all the city contracts, all the city's business. But you're sitting there and then you're going to say, we should vote for you? No, that's not going to happen.
Right.
That's not going to happen. I mean, that should have been an easy out. But we don't even have people working on it. Yet they out here trying to disparage other people. And you haven't done your work.
That part.
That's what I'm saying. We you know, and I just came over in this district. I ain't gonna be here long, but it has been very challenging for me to find out information at times for people who I thought that was deep rooted within the community. Oh, we don't mess with her because she don't like us. Wait a minute. What are you saying? You know what I'm saying? This is coming out the district that we live in. District 7 goes all the way from Ford Road and Paul clean across. You know what I'm saying? You going up Grand River. I don't understand this. You know what I'm saying? We
definitely have some work to do.
We got work to do.
And it's going to have to be an educational component in a way where we're not giving out a lot of options. I'm just going to be honest.
We don't have any options
to be able to let them figure it out. We're going to have to bring them to straight talk with no chaser. This is what this person has done. This is why they need to go. And this is why you need to pick from either one or two. If we don't start narrowing down these top picks in all of these races, we are going to stand a greater chance to lose. We have a lack of self-confidence, consciousness, and pride in our community, especially to be the blackest city in the country. You know, that's why I can't wait into this conversation tomorrow to talk about some black women who talk about making Mike Duggan a saint for Black Bottom. When we get into that conversation tomorrow, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And that's coming from our own people. So when we wonder why we get this lackluster, pathetic leadership, not only of other races, but of our own leadership who are sitting on council who look just like us, who don't want our best interests at heart. This is why these town halls are so important.
Hold on, repeat what you just said.
Conversation.
Repeat what you just said. You said that
they are
for Black Bottom,
a saint of Black Bottom. We'll get into that tomorrow, and I can't wait. That's gonna be a whole conversation about what we're doing.
You know what?
Our own credibility and sense of self. We do. How we're the contributors to that.
Listen, this is the bottom line of this right here. Let's just stop playing. You know what I'm saying? Just let's put facts are facts. Facts don't lie. You understand what I'm saying? People, here's what I tell people. If you could tell me something, you say Mike Duggan did this, and these are all facts, and he did that, and these are facts. Tell me which one have you benefited out of the facts from? If you can't tell me, it ain't got nothing to do with color, gender, none of that. We talking about the facts that they've done as a mayor or as a community activist or as a city council. Show me what you've done.
Yeah.
If you want me to vote for you, I don't have no problem with somebody who giving their time and effort. But when it comes to politics, all that community stuff go to the side. You know why? Because now you're dealing with my money. So now I'm gonna hold you accountable. You can do what you want to do at your leisure.
Look like wanting results, right? And having a very strategic plan. That's what it should look like in that type of framing. Let me say that. So we're almost at the end of the show. Brenda Hill, I'm going to go to you first. I'm going to have what do you see? Do you see us increasing the voter turnout for this year's 2021 primary, especially the primary election, because we have such low numbers? And do you think overall we could get the vast majority of voters to be more conscious and well-informed when they vote?
Well, I think that we can. But we have to do it. We can't be sitting around listening to crazy crap. And we need some boots on the ground. And we need to look in people's faces, whether it's through Zoom or personally, you know. We also have this pandemic hovering over us that's destroying the city's budget. We have no idea how much money we have. We have no idea where the money is going. And that right there means what we're going to have going forward. We're going to have to pay those bills. And nobody is holding anybody accountable. City council is just signing off and turning their backs to all kinds of mismanagement. So we can do it. I believe in Detroit. I love Detroit. I love the people of Detroit, but we just have to do it. We have a short time to do it in. We're right now at the cusp of anything. And this is the other thing. We need you to sign some petitions. People are going to have to make themselves available so that they can, the ones that we want can get those signatures. It doesn't seem like they're going to step in and lower the bar like they did last year for the judges. So be prepared to sign signatures, wear 2 masks, bring your own pen. But we need to get right now, you know, I think we got 2 candidates on the mayoral side that have their signatures in.
Mm-hmm. All right, Tia, what about you? Do you think we'll be able to build the momentum to increase voter turnout this year? And then also, are we really ready for change in our community, the majority?
People have to understand why we need the change first and foremost.
Okay.
I would push, for me, I think it's about getting the younger people involved. Trying to educate the younger people, having sit down conversations with them. I don't care. You need to have conversations with them because a lot of them are starting to buy homes now. A lot of them are starting to invest their money, trying to coming back home because they take care of their parents from the pandemic. So I think it's a lot of more. We need a little bit more progressiveness in this effort. I think the old school way is all good, but I think we need to update some things in order for us to bring the next generation to light. We gonna have to do something progressive. If we're not talking about changing it progressively, then no, we're not going to increase it. But if you put it in a progressive manner where you getting the more the majority of the young people engaged, like the Mayas and different ones like that, then yeah, we'll see a change. But until then, no.
And
The
they
same
are
old ways they
important.
gonna get it.
They are important. We need to
Exactly.
bridge this generational gap this year.
And that's
It's
where
a
I'm at
must.
with it.
It's not an option. It's something that we have to do. But we
That
are
has to
out
be
of
done.
time, ladies.
All
I want to
right.
thank
Yes.
both of you so much for joining me today. This was a great conversation. I
Yes.
expected nothing less. Absolutely.
Look,
From
and
the
I'm
two
at
of
work.
you.
My first day back to work too. My boss said, I said, you got to give me about a half an hour. I got to do some community stuff. I'll be right
Right.
back.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.
All
See, those
right.
are the
Y'all have a good
sacrifices
one.
that we make to share the
Ex-
information with
Exactly.
people in our community. So you know what? When we first of all, we need to determine that we deserve better so we could do better. I think some of them
Oh,
fail to realize
that's
that they
self.
actually deserve better and that they can have that. So with more conversations like this, we will definitely be pushing that agenda. And we will be
Okay.
right back here tomorrow on the Nicole Small Show. We will be talking about also not St. Duggan is what we're going to be talking about. And I'll see you back here
Goodbye.
tomorrow at 8 a.m. Have a great day and
You
be
too.
safe.
Happy
Peace and
Women's
love.
History Month.
All right.
All right.
Tune in to the Nicole Small Show, Mondays and Tuesdays from 8 to 10 a.m., where you'll get straight talk with no chaser. If you miss a show, then you won't know. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Facebook.
Protect the Vote, Detroit, August 3rd, 2021, with Beverly Kendall Walker for Detroit City Council. Be the change you want to see in the world. So protect the vote, Detroit, August 3rd, 2021. Call or text Beverly Kendall Walker at 313-618-9749 for more information. So get out there and vote with Beverly Kendall Walker for Detroit City Clerk. You voted, now what? You Voted Now What, LLC is a social impact marketing firm for the business person looking for bold strategies to unleash the buying power of our community. That's social impact marketing. Find more info at info@youvotednowwhat.com. Mention the Nicole Small Show for a 15% discount. That's right. Email info@youvotednowwhat.com for more information. And remember, get your souls to the polls August 3rd, 2021 for the Detroit mayoral election.